Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make and budget friendly, so if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. First up, we had Moe's for dinner. Gary was running a couple errands for me, and he stopped and grabbed this while he was out and about. So we each got their burrito. I got the chicken burrito. He got the half chicken, half steak. And then I don't like to put queso inside my burrito. I like to drizzle it on as I eat the burrito. I might be weird, but that's just my preference. So I got a side of queso to do that. And then the app was advertising. I think they said it was a new maybe chili con queso. I can't remember what it was called, but it had like ground beef and different seasonings in it. So I got that to try and it was pretty good, but that was our dinner this night. Quick and easy. A couple videos or so back, I showed my Halloween dinner that my family came to. I'd made pigs in a blanket, but Gary didn't get any that night and he'd really been wanting some, so made it for dinner this night. Here's what I'm going to use. First up, I've got some crescent rolls. I'm just using the Walmart brand. Use your preference. For the Smokies, I decided to use the cheddar little Smokies. I thought that would be good. And then I was going to make a different side dish, but I realized last minute that I was out of a crucial ingredient. And so I just looked in the pantry, found this box of macaroni and cheese. So I'm going to cook that up according to package instructions. I preheated the oven according to my crescent roll instructions, and then I just took the crescent rolls, cut them into strips, wrapped them around each little Smoky, placed them onto a baking sheet that I just sprayed with a little bit of baking spray, and I cooked the Smokies according to the package instructions, which for me, I think it was about 13 to 15 minutes. Here's what they look like when they were done, and then here is the macaroni and cheese, and that Great Value Deluxe macaroni and cheese, I really like it. It's like my favorite box macaroni and cheese. And then for the other side dish, just kept it super simple. Took some zucchini, cut them into sticks, toss it with a little olive oil, some of the Kinder's blend seasoning, popped it in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 8 minutes. Here are the plates. So we've got the mac and cheese, the zucchini, the pigs in a blanket, and then we did some Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce for dipping. Not at all a fancy dinner, but it was pretty yummy. For dinner the next night, I had on the meal plan to make homemade meatballs and homemade marinara sauce, but as dinner time was approaching, that just didn't sound good. I just wanted a cheesy pasta bake, so I dug around in my fridge and pantry to see what I could come up with, and I had almost everything I needed to make the Plain Chicken's $1 Million spaghetti, which I've shared before, but I wanted to share it again. I'll, of course, have the recipe linked in the description box below for you. I did have the recipe, by the way. So we're going to start out by making the cheese mixture. To this bowl, I'm going to add in, the recipe calls for softened cream cheese. I had this whipped cream cheese, so I'm going to add that. Next, I'm going to add in some sour cream. I didn't have quite enough in this little container, so I added some from a squeeze bottle. And then the recipe calls for cottage cheese. Other recipes like this call for ricotta. I didn't have either, so I just skipped it. It turned out just fine. Next, we're going to add in some garlic powder as well as some dried parsley. Then I'm adding in some freshly cracked black pepper as well as some kosher salt. I'm going to give that a really good mix and then set that to the side. Now, for the sauce, I had some ground pork and beef combination because, like I said, I was going to make meatballs. I sauteed that up with some onions, garlic, and diced mushrooms until the meat was all the way brown. I drained the fat off of it. I added some of the Rouse marinara sauce with some basil paste, and then seasoned it with some salt, pepper, and just a tiny pinch of sugar, and I simmered it for about 15 minutes or so. The oven has been preheating to 350 degrees. I've got a 9x9 baking dish here. I sprayed with some cooking spray, and I'm using a 9x9 because remember, I halved the recipe. I cooked up some thin spaghetti according to the package instructions, drained it, and then added it back to the same pot. I added just enough sauce to coat it, placing that into the bottom of my casserole dish, and then I'm going to add on the cheese mixture. I just like to add some dollops and then spread it out. It's okay if it mixes with the pasta a little bit. Don't stress yourself out about it. And then we're going to add the remaining sauce on top. I like to add a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese. I don't think the recipe calls for that, so you can skip it if you want to. But I'm adding a little sprinkling of the grated Parmesan, and then here I have some mozzarella cheese. I just shredded up a block. I'm going to add that, and then this goes into the preheated oven. I just sprinkled some parsley flakes on top just for a little color. You don't have to do that either. But anyway, this is going to go into the preheated oven and bake for about 45 minutes uncovered until it is golden brown and bubbly, and this is what it looked like when it was done. Now, I highly recommend you letting this sit for about 10 minutes before you dig into it with all that hot cheese and sauce. It is going to be lava if you eat it immediately. Next up, I'm going to make the Cozy Cooks cheesy garlic bread. Now, this is decadent, but it is delicious. It's so good. And I cut her recipe. I think I quartered it. It'll be down in the description box below, of course. So in this bowl, I'm going to add in some softened butter, and I just gave it a little stir just to kind of, whip a little air into it. Next, I'm going to add in some minced garlic. The recipe said that you should use freshly grated, but I just didn't feel like doing it this night, so I just used the garlic. It was fine. Then I added some dried parsley, grated Parmesan cheese, some shredded mozzarella cheese, and again, I shredded this myself from a block. Next, we need some Italian dressing. I have these little cups of the Olive Garden Italian dressing. I just got these at the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to use that and give that a really, really good mix, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be really thick. Now, for the bread, the recipe calls for French bread, but I have these just like sub rolls on hand, and I really need to use them up, and I didn't want to buy a whole loaf of French bread, when I had these to use up. So that's what I'm going to use. I am going to cut those in half and then slather each half with that cheesy, buttery, garlic yumminess mixture that we made earlier. Now we're going to sprinkle a little more Parmesan cheese on top. I told you that this is decadent, but it is delicious. It's so, so good. I added some of the grated Parmesan cheese, some more of the mozzarella cheese, and then once my spaghetti was resting, I popped this into the oven, and again, it was set at 350 degrees, and I baked this for about 8 minutes, and then I broiled it until it was golden brown, but just be careful, you don't want to burn it. All right, so here are the plates. We've got some of the spaghetti, the garlic bread, and the salad, and this was so good, and we had tons of leftover spaghetti and garlic bread for lunch for the next couple days. A friend of ours at church had a baby, and so they asked, people to sign up to take meals to them. And I decided to take this French onion chicken and rice bake. Again, I've showed this before on my channel, but wanted to show it again. It is easy and delicious. It's actually another plain chicken recipe. But anyway, I decided that while I was making it for them, I would do another half recipe and make dinner for us as well. So the oven is preheating to 350 degrees. To a large bowl, I'm going to add in some rice. Now, this is just instant rice. I cooked it in water according to the package instructions. I think this would be a great way to use leftover rice if you've got that. Next, we're going to add in some French onion dip. You could use whatever brand you like. I think this was on sale at Publix, so that's what I'm using. Now, we're going to add in cream of chicken soup. And remember, like I said, I did one full recipe, and then I did another half recipe of this. And a quick note, if you don't have French onion dip, you could just use sour cream or Greek yogurt and some of the Lipton onion soup mix. Now we're going to add in some shredded cheese. Next, I'm going to add my chicken broth. I just use water and chicken bouillon powder. Now, I did not salt the rice when I cooked it. And the reason for that is you can probably tell several of these ingredients are pretty salty. The soups, the French onion dip, and then the cheese. So I try to use low sodium where I can, and then I give it a taste before I add any additional sodium. You do have quite a lot of rice there, so that's going to soak up quite a bit of the salt. But again, I would highly suggest giving it a taste before you add in any salt. I added in some black pepper, and then we're going to add in our chicken. Now, this is a great way. If you've still got leftover turkey from Thanksgiving, you can absolutely use that in here. You use leftover chicken. You could, roast it or boil some up. I'm just using a rotisserie chicken that I shredded up. So once I've added the chicken, you're going to give this a really, really good mix. I'm going to add my mixture to a greased baking dish. Now I have a 9x13 here for the full recipe that I made, and then I've got a 9x9 for the half recipe. So once I've added that mixture, I'm just going to take a spoon and spread that out into an even layer, and then we're ready for the topping, which is going to be some fried onions. So once you've added the topping, this is ready to go into the oven. You're going to bake this uncovered for about 20 to 25 minutes or so. Everything's already cooked. You're really just warming everything up, melting the cheese inside, and getting those fried onions on top golden brown. So just 20 or 25 minutes until it's bubbly and those onions are brown like I mentioned. Now, for the family I was taking this to, I did a garden salad with some Martin's dinner rolls on the side. And then for us, I just did some quickly sauteed green beans. So I took some green beans. They were the ones that you can cook in a bag. I cooked them according to the bag instructions and then added them to a skillet with some of the Land O'Lakes garlic butter, and that was it. All right, here are the plates. We've got some of the casserole and the green beans, and this is yummy. It is comforting, it's budget friendly, it's family friendly. The lady that I took this to, they have, I think they've got 2 or 3 littles in addition to the new baby that they had, and she said that they enjoyed this. So if you're looking for a quick and easy weeknight meal or a way to use up some of that Thanksgiving turkey, I definitely recommend you give this a try. The next day was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and my mom had come over so that she could, help me cook and everything. I was wanting to make something that was easy to put together, didn't use a whole lot of dishes, but also something that, my mom would like and that she'd been wanting to try. And I remembered a few months ago when I made this Chicken Dumplings Casserole, she saw it on my channel and then she saw it on In the Kitchen with Mama Mel, and she really wanted to try it. So I was like, hey, I'll make that. So I will link my video in the description box below where I shared how to make this. It is so easy, and it's literally chicken and dumplings in a casserole form. And I just did it in a foil pan because we had been cooking all day and I knew I was going to be cooking all the next day, and I just didn't want another casserole dish to wash. So to go along with that, I did my glazed carrots. I've shared this so many times before on my channel. They're so easy. I'll of course link that video down in the description box below for you. And here was a picture of my plate. So good. The next day was Thanksgiving. Now, I didn't share me making anything. I've shown everything before. We just had a lot going on, so I didn't get any filming done. But I will have all of the videos for these recipes linked down in the description box below for you. There's just one change to the turkey, which I'll talk about in just a second. So here is the turkey. Normally, we roast the turkey. But I think it was last year, my dad got a turkey fryer at a really good price on sale. And a couple months or so ago, they did a deep fried turkey and loved it. And so we decided to deep fry the turkey this year. We seasoned it the same way that my dad does in, the recipe video I'll have linked down below. But instead of roasting it, he deep fried it. And that turkey skin, oh my gosh, it was so good. The turkey was delicious. It was so juicy, had so much flavor. All right, so we have my grandmother's dressing, my dad's Giblet Gravy. We've got some mashed potatoes, and y'all, this year I cheated. I got a couple of the family size Bob Evans mashed potatoes, microwaved them. I doctored them up with a little bit of butter and just a splash of heavy cream and called it a day. We have some cranberry sauce. I've made homemade in the past, but everybody just kind of prefers the canned, so we just did the canned. And then I had just some of the regular turkey gravy in a jar to warm up just in case somebody didn't want the Giblet Gravy. I did my slow cooker ham, which was just ham, brown sugar, pineapple juice, some Dijon mustard, and honey. And then for the rolls, most of us like the Sister Schubert rolls. My sister, she just loves the brown and serve rolls. Normally I do the Sister Schuberts, but this Thanksgiving I was like, you know what, let's do the brown and serve rolls for her. So just bake those according to the package instructions. I also made a pineapple casserole, which if you've never had that before, the recipe might sound a little weird, but it's really good, especially with ham. Then I did some crock pot green beans, just season them up with some chicken bouillon, some garlic powder, salt, pepper, and just a little bit of brown sugar with some bacon. Next up, we made potato salad, and again, I've shared this before. The only difference in the way that I've shown it and the way that I usually make it is I used a bag of the Ore-Ida steam and mashed potatoes. I cooked them in the microwave according to the package instructions, placed them on a greased baking dish, and just allowed them to cool, and then proceeded with the potato salad. My mom made the deviled eggs, and we make them the same. I just add a little more relish than she normally does. And several of the things I'm saying I made, my mom also helped make. But it was a joint combined effort. Next, I've got some corn, just corn, butter, salt, and pepper, and then I made 3-bean salad. And Gary's really the only one of us that eats the 3-bean salad, but it's just such a strong tradition for him, and he has a tough time with the holidays, so it's not a big deal. I don't mind at all making it for him, and he loves it. Next up, I made macaroni and cheese in the crock pot. I've shared this so many times before on my channel. I first saw it on Kristen Stepp's channel a couple of years or so ago, and I've made it so many times since then. It is a family favorite. It comes out perfect every time. And you know, a lot of times with macaroni and cheese, when you go to reheat it, a lot of times it separates because you've got the roux and the milk and the cheeses. This macaroni and cheese doesn't. It warms up beautifully. And y'all, I had to stop the voiceover for just a second and laugh at myself because as I said that, all I could hear was Annelle from Steel Magnolias saying that, you know, she had chosen something that would freeze beautifully. I love that movie. It's such a good movie. Anywho, I digress. I made corn pudding. It is so good. And then we've got sweet potato casseroles. I mentioned this before. We love the sweet potato casseroles from Aldi. Yes, we could make our own, but they are so good. And then for the desserts, my sister brought a homemade pumpkin cheesecake. Now, when she does the pumpkin cheesecake, instead of doing a typical vanilla wafer crust, she likes doing a ginger snap crust. It is delicious. We've got a chocolate pie. So easy, just frozen pie crust baked according to the package instructions. We mix up some chocolate pudding mix, add that, super easy. My mom made her banana pudding, and then we've got some whipped topping and some of the ready whip, you know, for the pies. Then we have a pecan pie. This is just store-bought, and I forgot to get a picture, but I used my grandma Lois's squash pie recipe and did a sweet potato pie. Here is a picture of my plate. Everything was so delicious, and we had tons of leftovers. We sent everybody home with leftovers, and we just had a nice Thanksgiving. And if you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving as well. Finally, we kind of have a little tradition in our family on Black Friday. We normally either do like Chinese or we go to a Chinese buffet. And so this night we did some sushi takeout. One of the local restaurants to us, they have I think they call it like a maki dinner, where it's a pretty good deal. You get miso soup, salad, and the soup and salad is enough for 2 people. And then you get 3 sushi rolls for $20. So I did that and then got an extra California roll for us to split, as well as an egg roll. Gary just wanted an egg roll, and that was our dinner this night. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video and you got some dinner ideas to try. If you did like it, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.